Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Workplace Wellness Hour. We are back today. It is Monday, April 27th, 2026. And I'm here with my amazing co-host, Samana Jetty. Samana, how are you today?
Oh, I'm happy to be here as always, and everyone's already joined us. How are you, Felipe?
I'm doing good. It's been a nice sunny week, and the temperature's been a little bit more normal spring weather instead of having all this crazy cold, hot, cold, hot. I do want to say hello to some people who already joined us early on. It's great to see Chase in Forehand, which if you have not checked out Chase in Forehand's cookbook, he has a wonderful cookbook that just came out, and it's called Transformation Kitchen Recipes for Life. Check it out on Amazon. But it is going to nonprofit money, and he does a lot of work. I call him the future new version of Jose Andres. This is what I think is how big he's going to become one day because he's just doing so much amazing work, not just in the U.S. but all over the country. And I promised him I'd actually do a video of one of his recipes. Remember the videos I used to do? So there might be a little throwback from one of the videos coming. But and it's great to see Musad. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you. And Jackie Hallberg is in the house. Jackie has her show right after ours. And then Joe Perez, a new friend who, we found a lot in common that we have with our interests. Both parents being from Havana, or one of his parents are both my parents. So we're looking to connect. So I'm glad he joined us. He's a new friend. Merrill Cass, who's the master connector and the communicator of all the lives. Without him and Kenny, I think, would have such a lower attendance because they help promote the show for us. They're true ambassadors. So thank you, Meryl and Kenny. And then Gregory Liverpool, another HR professional out there. It's great to see you here. I like how he calls it LinkedIn TV. And then, oh, Joe's bragging, 81 degrees in Tampa, Florida. Okay, don't brag, Joe. Okay, we know it's nice and warm in Tampa. And then Jay Pasquale, it's great to see you here. Hope you're doing well. And Christy Williams, great to see you as well. So we got a full house already. Do me a favor, you all. Go ahead and post the room with your network. Let them know that we're going on live because we are live not only on LinkedIn, but we're live on YouTube. And for the first time ever, we're live on Substack. So
Woo
feel free to
woo!
check us out, whichever one platform you feel the most comfortable. I know that LinkedIn can get glitchy sometimes. It sometimes might freeze up. Going to YouTube definitely does not freeze up, and you can pause it. Substack, I have no idea, but we'll find out. So, but Samana, before we get started, why don't we do some introductions? And what do you have? Anything new coming on in your life recently in the past 2 weeks you want to share?
Oh my goodness. Some new friends. I've made some new friends. I'm always delighted to bring some new energy into my life. So it's been a couple since I think since our last show, since Ashley left as well. I think it's just been an invitation of new energy into my life. So I've just been kind of embracing that. I also want to just say hi to some people that are listening to the podcast or to the live on my YouTube as well as my LinkedIn. Samantha, thank you so much for joining. Noni, Bernardo, thank you so much. I am appreciative. I know the main event is on Felipe's page, so if you want to join the other conversation, you can. I don't like the way that LinkedIn kind of splits up the feed and doesn't keep the chat together. But if you want to join, I'm not going to be offended. If you want to join the main event page and comment there, because more people are on that space, feel free to do that. But if you want to stay on my page, that's okay too. Introductions. Yeah, my name is Mana Jetty. You folks know me. If you don't know me, I'm just delighted to spend this evening with you. I'm a scientist. I'm a bit of a nerd. I love workplace well-being. I started my career in public health and moved into the workplace wellness space about 5 years ago and created Jetty Wellness. We love translating research into actionable strategies for businesses. So I work primarily with B2B, and sometimes I might open up the opportunities to work with individual clients, but that's not something I do frequently. But yes, I love research. I love all things corporate well-being, leadership, and just happy to be here because we do have a special guest on our show today. So I'm just delighted to spend this evening with you and learn from our guest and learn from you because that's always the case, right? We always end up having these incredible conversations on Workplace Wellness Hour. And I will say before I pass the mic back to Felipe for introductions, thank you so much. We've been live for close to 5 years now. This is going to be our going into our fifth year, almost our 100th episode coming up, and you've been showing up every other week. And this keeps just, we cannot say no to this. It's impossible for us not to show up, no matter what kind of a day I'm having. I had a bit of a rough day today, but I am here. Always happy when I'm here. Felipe, please introduce yourself and then let's get the show started.
Well, I'm happy you're here as well, and it sounds like you've had a great week. I started laughing. I won't lie in the beginning because she's like, Ashley left. Ashley left, so I made some new friends. It's like, I'm like, wait, separate that a little bit.
I think I'm coping. I'm coping with the loss of Ashley. Ashley's energy, the loss of Ashley's energy can only be replaced by 100 other people.
Exactly. But no, Ashley's definitely going to come back one day as a guest. She might be in the chat, as you may see. But for those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I've been an HR executive for 25 plus years. I'm also a LinkedIn enthusiast and a LinkedIn top voice. And I'm also the founder of Cofino Consulting, which I did not share the QR codes for Sumana. So I'm going to share hers first. So Jetty Wellness, if you want to check out Jetty Wellness, scan this QR code here that I'm going to put up so you can check out all the great work that her and her team are doing. It's been such a pleasure to see you grow over the last 5 years, Sumana, because you've
Thank
put so
you.
much hard work into it and you've developed such a great, amazing team of talented, intelligent individuals. So kudos to you. And by the way, this is our 91st episode. So
Wow.
yes, but so check out Sumana's website. And then for me, I am the founder of Cofino Consulting, where I do offer services like HR training, audits, compliance, and recruitments. And executive coaching. I still have my full-time gig that I want to do to pay the bills, but this is what I want to do when I retire. It's something I enjoy doing, and so that's why I've really launched Cofino Consulting over the last 5 years. I always like if you all can follow us on our YouTube pages. I will say I have a comment on the screen right now because these comments here include your page, Samana, my page, YouTube's page, and it should include Substack as well. So ideally, Restream should collect them all in this chat version here, not on your phone,
Oh,
unfortunately,
lovely.
but here you can see everything. So again, would love for you all to follow me on YouTube so that you can see all the past episodes of the Workplace Wellness Hour. There's a whole playlist, and I'll put that in the chat. Other than that, I am a international best-selling children's book author of Miranda and Max, which I'm very proud of because it was a love story to my daughter that resonated with other children more than I thought they would. So if you want to check it out, it's available on Amazon and Borders Books. But I do want to share one little exciting fact that I just finished this weekend, the version of Brady and Lucky, the One-Eyed Cat. So these are going to be 5 books, part of a backyard adventure series. And this is a whole series of how Lucky got out in the backyard and Brady tried to rescue him out of a tree. It's a whole story. But the good thing is that that's all finished and it's ready to be published. I'm just working on the music video that goes with it and the song, as well as the coloring book that goes with it as a gift. So more to come about that. But that is where I am right now. And I've been very excited to be able to share all that. So thank you for letting me share that with you all. And right now, I think it is time to invite our special guest, Sumana, because
Woo woo! Yes, it's time to invite our special guest. Let's go for it.
all right. And so we have none other than Patty Miller, who is a CPHR. She's another amazing professional and has a great HR background. Sumana, why don't you do a introduction since you met her first,
Yes.
and then we can let her introduce herself and share a little bit about the topic.
Absolutely. Bring her up on stage. Patty, I met Patty on LinkedIn and just in our green room, we were chatting. Patty messaged me and she said, "We need to talk." And I said, "Absolutely, we need to talk." Patty is a senior HR advisor. She's a business consultant at a company, Miller Net HR and Business Solutions. She's got over 2 decades of HR experience. Most of the work includes working, supporting engineering firms and also some independent consulting. Um, I think her experience is very vast, but most of it is in obviously talent acquisition, employee relations, and organizational development. I think that's where our alignment comes in, because a lot of the people that I end up speaking to when I'm pitching Jetty Wellness is folks like Patty. So I'm just really happy to have her, because we've had some incredible conversations over the last a couple of months now. I think most recently last week, Samantha, actually Fedora, also joined us on that little brainstorming session. And there's plenty to learn about Patty. Patty, please introduce yourself. I'm so happy to have you on stage. I feel like I'm a little out of place with you and Felipe. I might not say much today. I might just sit in the corner
Finally,
pretending
HR
pretending
has HR has some waiting on the
Oh
stage.
no! I think I'm
Yeah.
outnumbered. I'm outnumbered. Patty, over to you.
Oh, thank you so very much. Felipe and Sumana, you guys both rock. Give yourself a raise and take the rest of the day off.
Oh, I like you already, Patty.
I heard that so many years ago, and I keep using that because it's funny. Well, thank you for that warm, warm welcome. I'm Patty Miller. I am the president of MillerNet HR and Business Solutions, located here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I've been a fractional CHR Pro, CPHR Pro, and fractional CHRO for the last 16 years. And I go into businesses and I look at where are your problems. And what I mean by problems are are your problems that are keeping you from making the most money and the most revenue and profits and profitability and productivity. And then through that, I look at your 3 Ps, which are your people, could be good or bad, your processes, yes or no, or your policies, solid or not. And so that's how I help leaders and businesses be as productive and profitable as possible. Feeds my soul. So I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Wow. Yay. Thank you for sharing that, Felipe. Any questions for you for
uh,
Patty?
I like 3 Ps. People, policies, and processes. That's just and that's what it is. It's about making sure that the workplace has clear policies, it has good procedures, and that way take care of the good people. So I think it's a phenomenal formula you have there, Patty. So Patty is going to share a little bit about a topic that Swan and I have some questions that we are going to ask, but she's going to talk about these 4 areas of leadership and in the workplace. And I'm going to hand it over to her to introduce the topic, and then we're going to ask you some questions about it. Over to you.
I love it. Thank you so much. So around 10 years ago, actually 10 years March, sorry, May so 10 years almost exactly, I wanted to put in a profiling tool in my wheelhouse that I could really believe in, that would help me amp up my professional expertise and help me amp up the situations for the companies that I align and work with. So I did my due diligence and I checked out a number of profiling tools out there. DISC was one of them, Myers-Briggs, Colors, Profiles, Pathfinder, etc. And I decided to go with kind of not very well-known company called Core Values Index, which was through Taylor Protocols. So Lynn Taylor of Taylor Protocols created this profiling tool. And why I chose to go with them is that they are the only assessment tool on the planet with a repeat score reliability of 97%, which is third-party verified. So if you take the assessment today, which only takes 10 minutes, and you take it in a year's time or 5 years' time, you're going to be almost exactly what you're at. And I can confirm that actually through my own experience. I took my assessment 10 years ago, and I took it just again around a month ago, and I am within definitely 3% of my assessment from 10 years ago. So what I'm so proud to use this tool is it's the only assessment tool that truly is your innate unchanging ways of who you are, how you be. I call it the stripes of your tiger, or your thumbprint, your fingerprint. This is just your innate unchanging ways. And this has nothing to do with where you are born, where you are from, how old you are. It is truly the stripes of your tiger. So it has been a rock star addition to my wheelhouse, and I'm really happy to present some of the solutions and concepts today. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you so much, Patty, for that introduction. And I did look into a CVI, and we at the end of this kind of conversation, we will populate the link for that as well. Or Patty, you can definitely DM Patty and get that information from her as well. Thank you for sharing as to like why you decided to choose it. I think for me, when you and I first met, that was kind of the biggest aha moment for me, because as you know, I'm very analytical and evidence based. So there's so many psychometric and personality tools out there. So kind of leaning into the values piece of it, because we've had so many conversations here on Workplace Wellness Hour on leadership and values. And sometimes those value metrics can come across like a little fluffy and a little weak. I guess my first question, before you even get into sort of the domains and those different elements of CBI, just to kind of talk about that first, my first question, I guess, is from your years of using it, how do you think this tool sort of fits into the broader HR philosophy, but also like how HR is being viewed today? Because, if you look through all of the corporate content and speak to millennials and Gen Zs, there's a little bit of I don't know if I trust HR. In fact, I think Philippe and I had a conversation on Workplace Wellness Hour about, is HR our ally or our enemy? So how do you think this fits in with that broader perspective, but also in that multi-generational lens, where we're not quite confident if what HR is giving us is something that we can get buy-in sort of right away here? So that's my first question.
Well, firstly, I love how you said, is HR an ally or an enemy? And I think that you're right. In certain cases, it might be both. Not one. I think it's not both as in the same person. It's either one or the other. And I have found in my HR experience that if you're HR and you're asked to manage benefits and payroll, all of a sudden you're HR manager. Yay! And you don't know squat about how to manage people. You're dealing with payroll and benefits. I personally have never managed payroll. I only hire benefit companies. So I think that that's where HR gets a bad rap, is that some people that are in higher roles may not understand the people process and ultimately how to support leaders. I firmly, firmly, firmly believe that HR is here to support leaders to be more successful, to help them be empowered with tools and technology to complement and help each business be as productive and profitable as possible. So yeah, I was looking, like leadership gets discussed in a lot of terms of communication. There's communication, accountability, empathy, performance, and trust. But what I found over the years of working with leaders is this: we do not understand what people are naturally driven by. We end up managing behavior on the surface instead of understanding what's really happening underneath. And that's why I love the values-based leadership tools of Core Values Index, or CVI. It helps leaders understand how people are wired at a much deeper level, not in a fluffy way, but in a very practical, business-minded way. And when you can understand the wiring of your team, you can delegate better, you can communicate better, you can prevent unnecessary conflict, and you could stop assuming everyone is motivated by the same things you are. Like, let's face it, if you're more cognitive and linear and you need to think about how things are done, you're not going to be comfortable giving a 2-minute snapshot. What do you think about this, George? No one's going to want to do that if that person isn't wired that way. So, and then other people go, why can't you answer that, George? It makes George look like he's not competent or not comfortable. And that's where people are misunderstanding and misleading people in different ways.
I love that. Felipe, any thoughts, or do you have another question before we get into the meat of it?
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. So, I want to go into this a little bit and have you be able to introduce the four profiles, if you will. But before you do, what I'd love, when you started saying you can take it over and over again, it doesn't change. That's very different from the Myers-Briggs disc
Yeah,
assessment, the communication styles that we've done on the show before,
yeah.
because that does get influenced by your environment, but your core values, the environment shouldn't change your core values. Ideally, that would be pretty. If your core values change with the wind blowing, that would be not a core value. So I love that you talked about that, and I know that you're going to break down the four of love, wisdom, power, and knowledge. But my question that I wanted to ask for you was this: with this implementation in the workplace, I've always said that when you understand someone's communication style, you can communicate and address things much better. Um, what are the benefits in the workplace for a leader to understand the communications or the core, the CVI of the staff?
Oh my gosh.
And after you do that, could actually before that, could you break down the four just to let people know what the four are
You
again?
bet. You bet. Well, thank you. So, yes, as I mentioned, this is the only assessment tool on the planet with a 97% repeat score reliability. And that's why I chose it. I thought I want to be in the same room with a company that is doing the best work possible. And there's fabulous tools out there: DISC, Myers-Briggs, Colors, Profiles, Pathfinder, etc. They all have a repeat score reliability of 60 to 80%. Core Values Index, when I started with them 10 years ago, they were at 94%. And then 3 years after that, they increased to 97%, which is a third party, verifiable. I'm babbling here, but third party validation that they are on top of it all. So what I really like is it's not just, like self-awareness is no longer a soft skill. It's an opening. So leadership gets discussed in terms of communication, accountability, and empathy. And there are four energies in the CVI assessment. So there is power, which is decide and do, action and results. People who I'm speaking as a separate entity in its energy. People who are power motivated are action and results. Let's get things done, make things move. And they are the most comfortable with the least amount of information, data, um, um, skills. They are the most comfortable to take action and make things happen. Poop or get off the pot. And then the other one is love. So let's start with love because I think it's one of the most often misunderstood in business. And actually, the word love in a business assessment tool, let's face it, it's actually kind of challenging. Who wants the word love in corporate? Because that doesn't seem right. So, love is basically, when we're talking about the CVI, we're not talking about being soft or sentimental or overly emotional. It's about connection, contribution, trust, loyalty, and making sure people feel seen and valued. A leader or a team member with strong love energy wants harmony, inclusion, and meaningful relationships. They may naturally notice who's struggling, who's disconnected, and where others, trust may be damaged. So, and we've seen that. In the workplace, this can be an incredibly powerful tool because culture is not built by posters and cats hanging on saying we hang in there, on the wall, but it's culture built in small interactions. People with strong love energy often feel the emotional temperature of a team before others do. And that is their gift. And also, it can be a saboteur. So it's basically the gift of love is that it can create loyalty, belonging, and retention. And in HR, I pay closely to attention to this because when people stop feeling valued, they often do not immediately resign, but they quietly disengage first.
I love that. Thank you, Patty. Just to kind of, I'll just pause you for just one moment. I'm just looking at a couple of comments here. Patty is
Mhm.
saying CVI, so V for Victor. Joe Perez, Core Values Index. So that's what she's saying. And there was another comment that I think there was from a question from Greg Gregory. It's a question for Patty. I don't know, Felipe, if you want to pop that up now or later, but there was a question for Patty that says, Patty, can we improve people policy and procedures to get people to engage the value of people who think different, and to engage people who have disabilities, especially people who are neurodiverse, to see it as an advantage, not a negative stigma? I know that's a loaded question. Your thoughts on that one?
Oh my gosh, my hands are up in the air because I'm excited to respond to this question. So I have personally done 3,000 assessments in my time in the last 10 years. I'm in the top 5% of core values practitioners globally. And so when you're talking about how people think different and engage with people who have disabilities, especially with people who are neurodiverse, I absolutely can understand. So let's just say, so there's 4 energies: power, love, wisdom, knowledge. Let's say you're higher in wisdom and in knowledge, but light in love. So light in love does not mean, let me underscore this 10 different magnifolds way, does not mean that you're not loving or lovable. You just do not emote it. You emote it differently. And people, I have found after 3,000 assessments, if you are lighter in love and higher on the wisdom and knowledge sector, that you can be in the spectrum. Because, and this is what I love about core values index, is it's taking away social stigma. That person's this way, that person's that way. No, if this is how you're wired, these are the stripes of your tiger. And I have found if love is a light energy for you, to underscore again, you're not loving, you're not unloving or not lovable. It's just that you don't care. Let's just be honest, some people don't care, and that's not right or wrong, to be worried about that your dog ate your homework, or that it was your son's birthday, or it was your anniversary. They care that you're having a good time, but they don't really care about the nuances of what's happening. So I have found that people that are more wisdom and knowledge can be on the neurodiverse spectrum, which is awesome because neurodiverse people are fabulous employees if you can hire them for the work that they're wired for. Not that they're good for, but that they're wired for. So neurodiverse people are people that like to be in a cognitive linear state. They want structure. They want process. They want to understand the rules of engagement. They want terms and conditions, and they like to follow that. And there's many, many, many roles out there where people need to be absolutely wired for this skill set, and not everybody can be. So yet sometimes they might be seen as you're the odd duck, you're the quieter one, and this is mislabeling, which is a sad thing. But the world needs these odd ducks in the world, and these odd ducks are the ones that save us from so many situations. And I just find that being able to identify and know who you are, how you're wired, how you be, gives so many blessings, because it gives you grace to understand who you are. And 2, it gives you understanding to know, where do I want to take my career to the next level? And there's a lot of pressure in life to always climb, 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 climb. I must take my role and be this. If I'm an engineer, I must be now a project manager. If I'm a sales pro, I now must be a sales manager. And let's face it, we've seen people that have moved into new roles that have not thrived, but have limped through these new roles and ultimately left the company. And that's because they were not wired for the role that they were asked to do.
That was a great answer there. Thank you, Patty, for answering that question for Gregory. I've got to put this up really quickly from Lauren's sermon. And Lauren, maybe you and I need to have another show about this. Maybe you and I can have I know I was just on your show recently, but HR is employed by the company, and they're there to protect the company's best interests. I'm curious about your thoughts on this, Patty, because I thought I was naive at first, and I realized no, I've been trained by too many good HR people in my career to know that there's good HR people. But the hospitality industry was unique, and that was an area where there were hotels that were unionized and a lot of hotels that were not. My mindset was, if the employees need a union to represent them, then I have failed them. So my mindset's always been, I'm there as an advocate for the employee and an advocate for the company's best interests, both. But do you think that's a common interest? Do you think that's a minority? What are your thoughts?
That's a great question. And I feel that again, I'm really honestly maybe slamming some of the HR industry because a lot of HR are simply doing that. They are protecting the company and they are not advocating for what is right. And I'm the one that likes to go hip to hip with the leadership team, advocating for their messaging and their culture. But I have no problem telling a CEO, I'm going to say it, to shut that shit down. And I think that that's very important to see a senior HR pro needs to have the confidence and confidence. I'm confidence and being that leadership and confidant to the leadership team and challenge them and say, this is wrong. And this is not how it is. So what I like about CVI is I sometimes, many times, bring this into the leadership team, and we help organize the team to be more nimble and impactful based on how they're wired. There are people that are wired to not be leaders of people, but they're fabulously wired in other areas. And I've done many game-changing initiatives with many companies where we move people around to give them the roles that they are best wired for, and to not sabotage the company. So if companies are open and nimble to be able to accept how people are wired, it's not like just squishing them in a square peg in a round hole. Why not create the round hole for the round hole and let these people thrive in the best way possible?
I love what you're saying there, Patty, and thank you for putting it so beautifully well because um, it is something that one of the things I remember I said to one of my CEOs, I went to him, I said, "Thank you for letting me give you feedback." He goes, "What do you mean?" It's like, "You let me tell you when I think you came across poorly or you could have done things better." He goes, "If you can't do that, I don't need you." I said, "Not every leader thinks that way." Now, here's the truth of what Patty's saying here. The HR directors and HR leaders that are not the ones that are doing a good job
Yep.
are the ones that are in it for themselves.
Yep.
They care about how they look to that CEO. They don't care how they
Yep.
look to the rest of the company. As long as their boss is happy, they're happy. So that's somebody who's selfish and is not there for the right reasons. And
Yep.
that's why I say a good HR leader is going to advocate for the employee and for the company because they're going to try to create a good workplace. But Sumana, what questions do you have? I want to get
I love it. I love it. I actually have okay, I have to like, oh, what question should I ask Patty? I have so many questions. But I think the one thing that like kind of stuck, I'm going to tie this back to the first comment that you made about people, process and policy. Um and you made a comment saying that maybe not everyone is cut out to be a people leader. How do we get leaders, emerging leaders, as well as seasoned leaders who may be mispositioned in a people leader, say they're in a people leader space, but perhaps they're better at policy or leading process? How do we get that structure in leadership? Because I've seen lots of organizations, and that's kind of why they hire Jetty Wellness, is when they are experiencing some kind of an organizational chaos. And most often I see people leaders who and these are fantastic, these folks are very knowledgeable, very experienced, they have lots of titles besides their name, obviously the experts in their own space, but cannot lead the people, but they're really good at process and they're really good at perhaps policy. So how do we get them to identify that for seasoned leaders, and B, how do we get new leaders to decide where they need to be positioned so they're not in the wrong place? Patty, I know that's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question, but it's a great question. If you're not wired to lead people, the thing I love about Core Values Index is it tells you who you are, how you be. And if you're not wired to lead people, then don't frickin' lead people. Go and do other things within the business where you can be a lone wolf or you can be a freaking rock star and go and kick ass and take names doing amazing things for the company. I just concluded an executive training with 7 leaders. And one of the leaders, the first thing he said to me was, I don't really like leading people. And he was the one who had the most people reporting up to him. He had 12 people. And he's the guy who goes, I have the open door policy, but you know what I mean. He has the open door policy, but his back is to the wall and he's typing on the keyboard and you could be standing at the door waiting and he'll never look back at you and go, what? That's definitely not a leader. Right? So people who need to lead people, they absolutely need to understand the love energy. It's just how it is, right? There's power and love, wisdom and knowledge. And I know a lot of people. I've done leadership training for global companies for many years. And they may not have high love. And when I tell them that they're light and love, they actually get offended, thinking, I care. And that is my point. They do care, but they present how they care in a different way. They don't present in caring about making you comfortable. They're caring about, how am I protecting you from the BS and politics that are coming up your way, from a technical point of view. So I find that quite interesting. So the gift of love is one that create loyalty, belonging, and retention. And in HR, I pay close attention to this because when people stop feeling valued, they often do not immediately resign. They quietly disengage first.
Quiet quitting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And this is a frustration, the quiet quitting, the yes man, they'll just take care of it and they'll do it. And yes women, and this is where we need to advocate for how to be able to stand up for yourself and how to have the confidence to know that you're in the right role. So yeah, so you can invite, so is it a good discussion here? How many workplace problems are actually relationship problems, or were they never properly addressed?
I
You know
love
what I mean?
that. Love
Yeah.
it. Felipe, I'll hand it over to you. I know there's lots of comments in the space there.
Yeah, and I did put the link in there for people to join us on stage if they want to join us on stage to ask Patty some questions because we have about 20 minutes left. But Patty, what I love about what you're saying, and Lauren, you're right. There are so many bad HR people out there, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of people have had that experience. It's unfortunate. I've had that experience. Oh,
Yeah.
I had one of the worst HR people. But here's the thing: the good ones are out there, and leadership. I'm being optimistic here, is improving, and I say this why because the younger generation values emotional intelligence more and more, and as that emotional intelligence I put it and I see it more and more in job descriptions in leadership roles must be able to display emotional intelligence in the workplace. So times are changing. It's going slow as shit, I'll be honest, but they are going in the right direction. And I think that's what leaders need to understand is that they are going to be successful because during the pandemic, and I'm curious about this, Patty, about your opinion. During the pandemic or any other crisis, 9/11, whatever, you saw the leaders who rose to the occasion with emotional intelligence and the ones that failed horribly because they lacked emotional intelligence. And I feel like that was a really good eye opening to leadership because I always say leadership's not a title, it's a responsibility. And if you don't want the responsibility, get the hell out of the kitchen.
Dang right. I am so frustrated with people who take on different roles and they go along to get along. They're the passive ones and they want to be liked more than they want to be respected, or they're the ones that are the micromanagers. This is all based on ego, right? So the micromanagers, they want to ensure everybody is following their line per se, and that's not always right. So I find that the leaders that go along to get along, or the perfectionists, who wants a leader like that? You want a leader that can be liked and respected. And you want a leader that can have attention to detail and be liked, right? And so that's the issue with core values index. So honestly, with CVI, I can tell if you're wired to do the job you're asked to do. No BS. I've been doing this for 10 years, over 3,000 assessments, and I've done many business optimization engagements where I'm actually moving people around. If the company is open and willing to be nimble, we will move people around, take off certain skills, add different skill sets to them based on how they're wired. So why not put Batman and Superwoman together, right? And together they will be better fortified than a Batman and I don't know. I was going to say some. I'm having, like
Iron Man.
McDonald,
McDonald.
Iron Man, or Ronald McDonald. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
Ronald McDonald.
yeah,
Oh my
they're
God.
not really gonna. Yeah,
Okay.
they're not really going to help each other. But how do we get people to thrive together? And so when you understand if like a power person, they need to see milestones, things are happening, the ball is moving forward. And if you're not moving the ball forward, people who are in a power energy, they get frustrated. And so you need to show them that the timeline is moving. People that are in the love energy, they need to understand that collaboration and empathy and action is taking care of it, and that we're working together for cohesion. But it's not always about fluff. Let me make that clear. It's not about touchy-feely hugs and kisses, all of that. It is about collaboration and making sure things are awesome. Wisdom people are about assessing and solving. How do I get to point B with the least amount of resistance, friction, hardship? And so they're the thinkers. How do I get to that? And then you have your knowledge people that are so awesome. And that is my lightest energy. It's actually almost untappable for me, but it's history, it's facts, it's black and white, yes and no. And it's people that are, they know, they understand the nuances so well that they are protecting you through their love, even though that's love, it might be light, is through the data. And so that's an interesting aspect as well.
Patty, that was an amazing. You and I need to chat more and have a virtual cup of coffee. Also, as you're talking, we have two guests that come up that want to ask some questions of you. So we definitely want to get to that. But I do think that there's a lot of great points that you made, and I just want to encourage people that we have 20 minutes left. If you have any questions for Patty, put them in the chat. Come up on the stage, and we would love to have you come up here and join the conversation. And there's one thing that you were mentioning that I was going to touch on, but it slipped my mind. So while it comes back to me, I'm going to go to Gregory. Gregory, I'm going to give you the mic. Let's keep the sports references to a minimum. For
I know.
I like you, Gregory.
Fellow Canadian. Fellow Canadian. Let's go, Gregory.
From Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. That's where I originate from, Patty. Nice to talk to a fellow Canadian in the HR space, and I'm the person who gave you that disability question in the chat. In the words of the movie Jerry Maguire, sorry for the sports references and stuff, you had me at hello, Renee Zellweger, when you answered that question. You are one of the few HR people who gets it in regards to disability and the intersectionality of HR and disability. I sent you a connection request, and we need to have a kind of like a virtual type of a talk here, because you are speaking my love language in regards to that nature, and basically all is not lost in regards to Canadian HR professionals when they're talking about the intersectionality of people with disabilities and as well as neurodiversity and stuff. So you made me kind of tear up tonight. So yeah.
Thank you. Well, give yourself a raise and take the rest of the day off, Gregory, and thank you. No, it's so powerful. The work that I do, um, I've had men cry on my shoulder, and I've had, women just moved, and when they go, I didn't understand that this is who I am, and you gave me the clarity, and my first wife didn't get me because of this. And it's, when you understand the stripes of your tiger, and that's why I call it that, the stripes of your tiger. We all are tigers, right? It's not the stripes of your little teeny tiger, whatever. It's the stripes of your tiger. And so when you know who you are, how you be, you can give yourself grace. And that's awesome. So yeah, so and we were also talking about wisdom. So it's another fascinating value because it's all about insight and discernment and problem solving and seeing patterns. And people with strong wisdom energy often step back and ask, what's really going on, for crying out loud? They're not always the loudest voice in the room, and actually wisdom people that are high in wisdom they're more thinkers, and they like to process, right? So people, if you need to process and you need time to think, when someone asks you a question in business, do what you can to give your gift, not give, gift yourself some time to buy some time. I just got to go to the washroom. I'm going to get a coffee. I'll be right back. And in those 3 or 5 minutes, you have a chance to percolate what those ideas or questions are, so you can come back to the room with some insight and some information and ready to participate. Some, people who don't like to be caught off guard in short order, if you're more cognitive and linear, and people that are more love and wisdom get irritated with those that are the thinkers. And this is where I love helping people understand you're not right or you're not wrong. This is who you are, how you be. And I did have one, I was bringing up that engineering manager who did not like people. And I said to the CEO, let's put him in a lone wolf role. And they were nimble enough to actually create that. And then we hired another person that was more wired for the people problems, which is leadership, right? And the power to discern and take action on how things are. So, CVI, honestly, I've been drinking the Kool-Aid for 10 years. There's nothing more powerful than this.
And you're still alive after 10 years of drinking the Kool-Aid, so it's safe. But so real quick, I have a question for you, and I'm going to hand it over to Samana to follow up on her thoughts, and then to introduce Joe, and then we'll wrap up the show. But I remember what I was going to say earlier, because when you were talking about leadership and having talking about the love where it builds trust, that ties into the emotional intelligence a lot. And I think that when you have that trust, when the shit hits the fan, your employees are going to be there to support you because you've already built the trust. When you try to build the trust during chaos, it never works. And I think that's something that's so important. And the other thing is, when you're talking about this, and this is where I want to have a separate conversation with you about this, Patty, because whether it's the colors, the Myers-Briggs, communication styles, what you were describing just right now was like the doer and the thinker. The doer that comes in and is like, I have an idea, and boom, 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 boom. What do you think? The thinker needs time to process. they want.
Yeah.
I always tell people, like, if you're the doer, go tell the thinker, hey, I emailed you something. Can you review it, and can we talk at 2:00 about it? That's, even though you would rather just have a conversation right there and then.
You're 100%. Oh my gosh, Felipe, rock on. You're 100% right. And that's where people who are quick to take action, they look at people who are not ready to respond in short order as a deficiency. And I hate that. It's just who you are, how you be, for crying out loud, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's where people need to actually advocate and say, I love what you're asking me. Can I come back to you in half an hour? Right? Or I'm going to, advocate for yourself. Don't just be. And that's a problem with us people, that we all want to comply and be that good employee. And so we do whatever the manager asks us of. And that's not always to our success.
See, this should be a required class in high school and in universities, because the reality is, when you walk into the workforce, how to approach someone that's different than you, You have no idea. You piss people off left and right because you're the new kid, and you don't know what you're
Right.
doing. And I think
Yes.
that's the guidance that people deserve and need. So, again, I'm loving this conversation. So, why don't we hand it over to you to share your thoughts and introduce Joe?
Yeah, lovely. I'm just going to share one thought, and you don't have to respond because I'll share my thought. I'll pass it to Joe, and then you can think about how you want to respond to me and Joe first. What I was thinking as you're speaking is I'm a very analytical person. I like systems. I've seen a lot of toxic work environments. I've seen lots of different people, especially those very high functioning, high performers with multiple credentials who are great at their job. A lot of our clients that have had the honor of supporting in the academic spaces are great at research. Sometimes I feel like I have a little bit of that. Maybe struggle with discernment sometimes, but what I'm thinking is, yes, the CVI is great. I love that there is a system like that as a starting point, but what I think would also be amazing is if there was a system or some behavioral cues to allow people to know what to do with this information. How does someone who is high in wisdom, low in love, in a situation that could be triggering for perhaps having a conversation with a neurodiverse individual, or perhaps a multi-generational conversation, which seems to be the norm in today's kind of workforces, is where have a lot of people working with Gen Zs and millennials and Gen Xs. And everyone speaks a different language. So yes, let's all do, for example, let's all do the CVI. Let's all figure out the stripes of our tiger. What next? I think that's the part that I think there needs to be a system so we know how to say, what to say, when to say. So that was my thought. Would love to have Joe Perez. I know you've been commenting a lot. Would love to hear your thoughts. Any questions for Patty, please direct it to Patty. And thank you for coming to our show, Joe.
Hmm.
Again, Felipe.
Again.
Well, I went to one on Saturday, which was just by sheer inspiration, and this provoked me to actually participate in this, since the guilty party actually in our comments actually is going to be slapped by me, although Canada's cool because he told me about this. It was great. And you had rhetorical questions, but some of them for me, being Gen X that I am, I have worked in the corporate world as an employee, but also now owning my own business. And boy, it triggered so much hearing you, Patty, that
Hmm.
the term love would be a conflict in the corporate world, as we do know realistically, because the
Yeah.
fact that actually then creates a conflict with performance, production, as well as end results itself, because it would be like, I guess they call it a breach. And like, what the hell's the breach then? What's your problem? Their problem
Yeah.
is they fear that having emotions, but you probably agree with this because I actually even questioned AI on this, and AI told me I was right. The conflict is because of restrictions and lack of control. Who are the controllers? They are, because they're the investors, and that's why they own us, paying us per se employees our salaries, and having a relationship per se would be defined through that term love, even though it's biased. It's not actually a term defining about an emotional connection. Outside it would, but in corporate, they don't see it that way. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen this because it's been a pattern for decades.
For decades. Joe, thank you, thank you. And it's interesting because the word love in Core Values Index, so the creator of CVI is Lynn Taylor of Taylor Protocols.
Okay.
And this is a 85, sorry, since 1985, this technology has been in place. Over 2 million assessments have been done. And the fact that he chose the word love all those years ago before corporate was ready for it is very interesting. And I have to share too, in my spiritual quests, like I'm a Christian, I'm a recovering Catholic, but I,
I'm
the word,
reformed. Go ahead.
but the word love is something that doesn't come into corporate. Gosh forbid you ever say that, right? But I love that he put the word love in there because it's not, as I say, hugs and kisses, touchy-feely, placating to other people's wishes. It is a very confident energy, but one that actually can read the people and can have empathy and understand what needs to go on. So it's a very creative energy, very wanting to make good things happen collaboratively, and not and some people that are more cognitive and linear and maybe more science-based. And Sumana, I love how you said you're a tech geek and tech geeks rule the
She
world.
and I,
You know?
same language,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I think Samana, you
And
and I got hooked up because we're both
yeah,
IT
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Forget it.
Absolutely.
And tech geeks rule the world. I know many wonderful geeks who rule the world, and that's awesome.
You're actually using the word
And
geek on us.
oh, I think geek is a hot word.
Yes, it is. So is techie, but we
Yeah.
have various names. Yes, various
Well,
names. True.
I gotta say that I've always, the finance people and the IT and techie people, I have bonded with a lot over the years and been good partners with them because they do really the opposite. And one thing they always appreciated about HR was I said, your job is difficult, but there's one part of your job that's easy. And what's that? I go, numbers and technology do not have emotions, so you don't
That's
have to deal
true.
with any
True
emotions
logical.
Yeah.
You're not
day
wrong.
long.
You are absolutely accurate.
Data-driven decision making. That
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
all
no,
about
no.
that.
That's
Samana,
the
you and I are
human.
problem solvers. IT is problem solving.
Yes,
Yes.
but Samana, the humans are decision making. The data does not have
Yes,
emotions.
yes. We got to
The data,
discern what the heck the problem is, then define it, and then fix it.
yeah,
Exactly.
Dang right.
and how often have humans seen data and still gone the opposite direction?
Yes,
Well,
too many
All
times.
the
We make
time.
our share of mistakes. Yes,
all
we're not
right.
flawless.
One PSA for you,
so-
Joe. One PSA for you. I'm a fan of chat of AI. I use it too, but be careful because it's always agreeable unless you change the settings.
I know how to work with it, man. I learned his tricks. Believe me,
All
I've
right.
learned personally to hack it. But thanks for the idea.
I
Oh,
just want
Anna.
to you say that AI agreed with me. I'm like, oh god, if anybody else says
No,
that,
no, 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 no. Ethics, ethics. Hello.
AI sometimes loves to gaslight us, so we've got to be careful. I want to say one thing before we let Joe go. Let Joe go. I will say one thing. Because when Patty in the beginning of the conversation, Joe, I don't know if you heard her say, but when Patty was talking about love as the one of those domains, power, love, wisdom, knowledge, but when she was defining love, she said connection, contribution, loyalty. So maybe
I
in the
agree.
corporate space, we don't have to use the word love, but we can say like, how am I connecting with my team? How am I
Yes.
contributing? And Patty, you
Now
can
you
explain this
understand.
better.
That is the
Now I
concept.
get it.
Exactly. Thank you.
And
Good,
Def-
good.
let me give you an
Yeah.
example of this because the word love, it can be very misleading. And, there's love languages out there, right? I caught one of my managers doing the love languages with her team. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then they got to the language of touch. I'm like, hold up. Hold up.
Affection.
Touching, affection, and in the workplace. I go, let's make that shaking hands and applauding and make sure it's clear because that could go real south. But here's the thing. I had an employee one time, and okay, I know younger generations do not like the word family in the workplace.
Whatever.
Let's not use that word. But the point is this: those connections, those bonds that we make that make it feel like it's a work family. I had a senior leader who's like this is not a work family. We shouldn't be promoting it that way. These aren't relationships. These are professional relationships, not personal relationships. And I said we work too often, too long with each other, not to develop some kind of relationship. When we talk about sports, TV shows, cooking, personal life issues, he goes, "Nope, I disagree. I disagree." About 2 months later, his mother passed away. When about 45 of us showed up at the funeral, he was in tears. He was like, "I don't understand. Why are you here?" It's like, "We're here to support you because we care." And they're like, never thought you cared. And like, how can we not care about you? You're a person that we see every single day. And we've gone through so much together. Of course we care about you as a human being. You're not just a employee. And it was such a shock to him. And from that day forward, he changed. And so I think the message here is that any good leader is going to care because they're human. First of all, they're going to do what's right for the business because that's what their job is. And any employee that follows a good leader is going to understand that a good leader's got to make bad decisions. They got to do layoffs sometimes. It's not personal. It's a business decision. But a good leader who's transparent, open, honest, and accountable people are going to be able to respect those bad decisions.
One thing we cannot avoid,
100%.
man, we are human. We're human. We have emotions, all of us, regardless of profession, regardless if you own a business, regardless if you're in the corporate world, you're still human. That cannot be avoided, regardless. There's no logic behind that, and it won't be because we're not logical. We don't make sense, and we do change our minds and feelings too. And I think we all agree with this. That's the one thing that I find funny between directors, upper levels. You're still human, dude. Or lady. So
Yeah.
let's,
Yeah.
let's come back grounded because that's called balance. I think
Yeah.
Patty would support this, right?
I 100% support that, Joe. And one thing that I love that I'm doing is I actually create a what I call a leadership playbook. So when I do core values index for a leadership team or a corporate team, I create the playbook for the leader on how that leader is personally wired. And then it's like it's a leader's dream. They get a leadership playbook on how everybody on their team, what their role is, how they're wired, and how that leader can best support that person based on how that leader is wired and how their employee is wired. So if they're more cognitive and linear or more love driven or more power driven, I have all that, including verbiage of what to say and what not to say. And then for every participant in the training, they get a deeper dive into how they're wired for success for their role and how to best work with their leader, how their leader is wired. So if your leader is cognitive and linear, they're going to need more data and samples, etc. If your leader is more love, or power, they're going to need to know what's happening with the people. Is a collaboration there, or when is this going to happen? Poop or get off the pot. So it's a nobody's doing this. I know nobody is doing this. And with my strong HR eyes compounded with leadership training, there's many thousands of wonderful leadership trainers out there, but a lot of them respectfully, they haven't been a leader. They went and bought their training and they got their credentials, but they have not been in the trenches. And so that's the difference. And so when you can help a leader understand who they are, how they be, and you've been in the trenches, that's where the rubber hits the road. So I am beyond thrilled to have had some time with you all. And I'm just amazed with enthusiasm, etc. And I would love to speak with anybody who would want to see Core Values Index either for themselves. I've even done this for families. I've done this with neurodiverse communities. It's all over the map, but there's nothing like this in the whole entire world.
I'd welcome, and I reached out to you, by the way, Patty, to connect with me here on LinkedIn. And that actually is surprising to me to hear this tonight. You guys actually really got me impressed.
Well, Joe, thank you.
Wow.
Hey, give yourself a raise and take the rest of the year off.
Honey, I would take a decade off, okay?
And Patty,
Give yourself a good raise first.
Patty, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the comments. I think there's a lot of questions that we didn't get to, and I don't know. I'll just stop talking, Felipe.
Well, no, I'll say, we'll respond to the comments. Patty, feel free to go through the comments and respond to any of those that you wish you'd like to. Joe, you've been amazing. Thank you for coming up and joining us. I always appreciate you.
Con gusto.
Gracias, mi amigo. We just met last Saturday. I already feel like he's
I
a brother
know,
from another
dude.
mother,
It seems like it was last week. It's all right. Because it was.
All right.
You guys
Well,
have
Joe,
a great night.
I'm going to put you in the green room. Be careful and don't trip as you move back there. All right.
Thanks.
And so now, Patty, can you tell everybody where they can find you and the best way to connect with you?
100%. Thank you. Patty at MillerNet. Well, I'm Patty at MillerNet CPHR on LinkedIn. And so Patty Miller. And I'm also, my website is www.millernet.ca. And yeah, please check me out on LinkedIn and check out my website, and let's connect. And if I can make an impression on your company, I know I will. It's a game changer type of tool. So I'm beyond honored. Thank you so much, Felipe and Sumana. It has just been my true pleasure to spend this time with you. So
Well,
Again.
thank you. I'm going
Yeah.
to hand over to Samana to give her final thoughts, and thanks, Samana, for connecting with you and introducing you to all of us, because it's been an amazing thing. And I did put your LinkedIn profile in the chat just now. If you want to put your website or anything else in the chat, feel free to, Patty. I'd love for people to get to know what the easiest way to get a hold of you is. And I just want to thank you again for just putting another perspective on it, showing people that how leadership should be and can be. And there's a lot of people out there doing it the right way. And I gotta say, for every bad HR person, I'm gonna optimistically say there's a great HR person out there as well, because I've learned from them. It sounds like, Patty, you have too. And I even look out. I just recently was on an interview, and one of the biggest concerns was this HR person's beloved by the entire company. We want to make sure that we get somebody that can really maintain these positive relationships that she's built over the last 15 years. So that tells you that there's some value there, and the leadership sees it. It's when the leadership doesn't see the value.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a red flag that it's not an HR problem, it's a leadership problem and a company culture problem.
Mm-hmm.
So Patty, you're amazing. Samana, I'm going to hand it over to you and share any final thoughts. And over to
I
you.
honestly, I don't have much to say. Patty, thank you so much for saying yes. I know I kind of just asked you and I said you should come and do this. And I wanted to keep up my end of the deal. I know our community is so amazing. And having spoken to you a couple times, 2, 3 times now, and having met you, I knew that you were going to be able to share something with the folks that join us. And I knew this was going to be successful. But I am really grateful that you said yes, not knowing where you're going to be coming, who you're going to be speaking with. So I really do appreciate that. And there's so many comments, folks, that we haven't got to. There was one really large one that I saw that was too large, too long. I didn't even get to read it. I'll go back and look at it. And Patty, I would probably ask if you have some time to go back to Felipe's main event page and scroll through the comments and see if you want to
Absolutely.
comment on
Yeah.
anybody. But no, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm sure I'll see you in Calgary. We're gonna see each other in a couple weeks. I'm sure I'll see you so we can debrief a little bit more.
Thank
I'm
you.
so jealous you can see each other. Samana, do you have anything coming up you want to share real quick?
Yeah.
Patty, do you have anything to share with us? I know you've got to go before we kind of wrap up here.
No, you know what? I just actually want to conclude that the power of the mind is everything.
Okay.
And we all have our egos, and what I mean by egos is our insecurity or security. And let's not give our power away. And what I mean by that is that can be a supervisor doesn't say good morning and we sit back and go, oh crap, they don't like me. Well, don't give your power away. You don't have any idea what they're thinking about, and why think negative. I guess what I'm saying is believe in yourself, know you've got this, and believe in your value, and just kick ass and take names. That's what I want to say. And work, going to work sometimes can be a very hard thing. You're getting microaggressions and BS in politics, but it's not who you are, how you be. Go and give your best value and believe in yourself, truly.
Thank you, Patty. I know you've got to go, so we'll say goodbye to you. We just want to do a bit of closing here. Nothing going on for me except our new blog for May. I can't believe May is coming up. Wednesday, the first Wednesday of every month, our new blog drops. So there's something exciting. It is in the leadership vein. So if you are following jettywellness.com/blogs, first Wednesday of every month is our new blog. So that's coming up on the 6th, and then back for Workplace Wellness Hour on the 11th after Mother's Day. So that's about all we've got going on my end.
Well, and Patty, you just answered that question from Peter, the really long question in a way, because you touched on a lot about it. The only thing I will just echo on that is Peter talks about maturity in the workplace and if people would act more mature, and I totally agree. But that's got to be a two-way street, you all. As much as we're talking about leadership, the staff has got to be understanding of, hey, when things are tough, we all need to cut back. Hey, when things are good, it's a good time, but it takes maturity on both ends, and that's so important to remember, because you can't put it all on the leader.
You're 100%. And actually, what ticks me off is everybody thinks the leader owes them everything. No, employees, you have a role, you have a job, you're getting paid. Go and do your effing job.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
You know
No,
what I mean?
exactly.
You know, go do this. Nobody owes you a living. Nobody owes you to, accolade you. Like it's the pendulum is swinging way too dang far.
Yeah.
If you've got a role and this is your role, own it. Be bigger, better, shinier. This is my problems. This is my idea to solve it. Am I on the right page? What supervisor wouldn't love that? Right?
Yep.
And also don't be passive as a supervisor. Have those conversations. This was working well, this wasn't. What's happening? How can we understand that? Document it. It's just leadership. It's you've got to be the leader, so step up and be the leader if you're getting paid for that. And employees, nobody owes you anything. Step up and earn your paycheck. And I'm
Love
not
it.
trying to be a bitch about it, but just if you've got a role, nobody owes you all these things, for crying out loud. Go and do your job.
You're being
And
honest.
yeah,
I love it.
and
No.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry.
No,
I've just seen
yeah.
so many people, they think that the world owes them something. Bullshit. You know what? You got to go and get your own world together. And just, enough of this. It's the pendulum is too much, too divisiveness, too much craziness. But what I love is that when you know who you are, how you be, that's fabulous. But also, pick your own fights and don't pick easy fights. Like, don't go for those silly things. Be, just believe in yourself and be a contributing member of the team, of your community and your employer. Nobody owes you anything.
I love that. And it's true, and do your job that you get paid for and do it well before you try to
Right.
do anything else.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Patty, listen, this has been absolutely phenomenal conversations. I know that Meryl put in here, it's one of the best we've had. And for being our 91st episode, that says a lot.
Yay,
So,
91st. I'm going to get a cake saying 91.
oh, thank you. Well, listen, and do me a favor, make sure that you follow some of these people out there, and people who are watching, follow Patty. If you liked what she said and you resonate with you, check her out. And before I share anything else, Sumana, you unmiked?
Oh, I unmiked because I just love everything that's going on. Thank you so much, folks.
All right. Well, listen, as far as what I have coming up, I have a Saturday, Social Saturday Chat with the Social Saturday Chat crew. So come check us out there. We just had our networking event this past Saturday. And on Sunday, I have Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. Which we're going to be doing a little special there about mothers, I think, since it's coming up with Mother's Day and mothers, and I'll leave it at that. It has to do with coaching, careers, and chaos. That's all I'm going to say. And then I do also have for my quarterly show, Future Ready Leaders, I will be interviewing the Director of Global Human Resources for Hyatt Hotels, who was previously the Global DEI Director of Hyatt Hotels. So she'll be joining me in the coming months. So keep an eye out for that. And with that being said, I hope everyone has had a great week. Thank you all for joining us, Peter and Mike and Jackie and obviously Sumana, Sandra and Kenny and Meryl and Joe and Gregory and William and Lauren, all of you, Joaquin, Nicole, everyone that came, we appreciate you. Thank you for making this such a great event. It's because of you and what you all come and ask and share is what makes it so valuable. And thank you to Patty for being an amazing guest. And as always, remember, be confident in what you know because you have a lot of experience. Be curious about what you don't know and go learn about it. Be grateful for what you have. Be compassionate to yourself and be tenacious as hell because you've got this.
Baby.
Have a great day, everyone. We'll
And
see you
take
in
the
2
rest of the
weeks.
day off. Adios.
Adios,
Thank
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
United, together here we stand. Savannah and feel it, pay your workplace wellness, our band.
Where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold.
Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage, and elevate your game.
magic for all.